This all started about a year ago, in the beginning of the fall semester at my local community college. I had just been to all my classes for the first time, and decided to continue walking around one of the buildings to gather my bearings of where my classes were. I was beginning to leave and was walking towards one of the staircases when I casually spotted an old man sitting on a bench outside one of the rooms. I was beginning to leave and was walking towards one of the staircases when I casually spotted an old man sitting on a bench outside one of the rooms. He must have been in his late 60s and had strikingly short white hair and held a suitcase with him. I didn't think anything of it, but I guess our eyes sort of locked at some point in time, and I uttered, "Hello," under my breath. I wanted to be courteous, and he uttered hello back. I smiled, turned the corner, and started my way down the stairs. But as I started walking down, the man appeared right up alongside me and asked me how my day was going. Not thinking much about it, I told him that it was going well and that I was enjoying the weather outside. He agreed, and we parted ways at the bottom of the staircase. At this point, I didn't feel anything was creepy about our conversation. About a week later, I began seeing him every day. I always saw him sitting outside the same class and leaving as I walked by him to start down the stairs. I just chalked it up to him having a similar schedule to me. But I did find it kind of weird that I started seeing him on both Monday, Wednesday, and my Tuesday and Thursday classes. Again, he seemed like a kind old man, and it was probably just our schedules were the same. Then, weird things began happening. On one occasion, I was sitting in my design class and listening to the teacher. The door to the classroom remained open to let late students in, and I casually glanced over because my eye caught a figure standing in the doorway. There he was, just standing and staring right at me. I sort of shifted in my seat and gave an uneasy smile. He just kept staring, his face absolutely emotionless. From where I was sitting, nobody would have been able to see him, and the teacher kept giving instructions. He eventually broke his gaze and continued down the hall. I figured that I just reminded him of a dead daughter or something, and pushed it away from my thoughts. Then one day, the sun was going down, and I left one of my classes later than usual. As I walked outside, I casually glanced over to one of the flower boxes that sat outside the buildings. In my peripheral vision, I saw a figure sitting on one of those boxes, and I thought jokingly, what if it's the old man? But as I focused, I couldn't believe my eyes. There he was again. He was just sitting, staring straight ahead, and didn't look at me at all. I figured that as close as I was to him, maybe he'd make some sort of contact, but he never even looked at me. The whole situation felt strange, and I kept walking, keeping my pacing brisk. How could he be here this late? I again pushed it away from my mind and kept walking through the campus to my car. I felt uneasy, as if someone was watching me. I couldn't shake this odd, being watched feeling, and to help soothe myself, I looked in the reflection of one of the buildings to prove that no one was following me. But this backfired. I saw him walking directly behind me at a distance of 20 to 30 feet, just clutching his suitcase. Startled, and a little afraid that I was wrong, I quickly darted around a corner and decided to take an alternate twisty route to my car. Maybe I was just being a little bit paranoid, but I did continue through a small patch of trees and went the long way to my car. As I approached my car, I looked behind me to make sure that he wasn't there, but he was. This time, closer. He was about 8 feet from me in my car. Now, I was very afraid. There was no doubt in my mind that he was following me. I quickly grabbed my keys to my car, unlocked it, and as he came around the hood, getting around 3 feet from me, I uttered something like, what are you? But I got in, slammed the door, and locked it. It was then that I got a good, long look at him. There he stood, at the hood of my car, just looking into it, at me. There were no students around, and there he was, just standing at the hood, smiling. I threw my keys into the ignition, put my car into reverse, and backed out. As I backed out, he casually walked into the space my car was in, and followed me. I pulled forward to leave, and he stood smack dab in the middle of the street, watching me drive away. Why didn't I tell anyone, you might ask? Well, I really don't know myself. I was still trying to rationalize it, and I don't know what I was thinking. The next day, I went into my design class, and I didn't see him at all. I sat in my classroom as usual, and tried to get my mind off of it. This time, I closed the door to the classroom to feel a bit safer. Now, I would have no chance of seeing him, and would be able to continue studying in my class safely. I casually look up at the door, and who do I see peeking through the small rectangular window? The old man, and he has his face right up to the glass. He's staring right at me, not anyone else in the room. I quickly stood up from my desk and ran to the other side of the room where he couldn't see me, although I could see him on the other side, trying to get me in view again. My teacher quickly asked me what was going on, and I blurted out, "There's a man at the door, and I think he's stalking me. I'm very scared." My teacher went into action. He ran to the door, quickly opened it, and confronted the old man. I hear him say, "Why are you looking into my classroom?" And I hear the old man respond,
I was just making a phone call."
And my teacher replies, "Yeah, well, you were staring into my classroom." The old man didn't respond this time and started to quickly head down the hallway. My teacher, being obligated to respond, walked me to the campus police. I gave a quick detailed description of the man. Finding out about the car incident, they quickly dispatched 2 police to search the entire campus. They gave me their personal numbers and offered to walk me to and from my car whenever I come to school. I thanked them and went on my way. I never saw that old man again, not even casually in the halls. So a little background first. I met my girlfriend about 7 months ago while I was in my first year of college, and she was in her last year of high school. She's originally from China and moved to the country I live in about 3 years ago. Right now, she's back in China for a few months to visit her family before she starts college. Today, I got off of work and noticed my girlfriend had messaged me a ton on QQ, which was a Chinese social network. It was strange to me since she had gone to sleep at around 9 a.m. my time and told me that she would be up around 4 p.m. But my phone told me that she had sent me a ton of messages at around 1 p.m. Normally, she wouldn't do anything like this, so I knew something strange was going on. I opened up my phone, thinking she had just likely had a bad dream or something, but nothing prepared me for what I was about to see. She messaged me in a very distressed and confused tone, saying that I should look at this Chinese forum that this anonymous guy had sent her since there were photos of us on there. At first, I thought she meant just photos off of QQ that she had posted of us, since we've had people steal photos from there before. But I opened up the link she had sent me, and suddenly, I felt my whole body freeze up because of what I saw. Photos of us, hundreds of them, taken by someone else. The first few photos looked like someone had just taken them from behind us while we were walking together. The more I scrolled though, the creepier it got. There were photos of us at parks, on the bus, at the movie theater, and at the mall, and even at a sushi restaurant. Pretty much every single public place that I had ever been with her. I was completely creeped out by this point. This person seemed to have taken photos of us every time we went on a date together, but it got worse. I scrolled more and found a bunch of photos of me using a stall in a public washroom. It looked like they had taken it by putting their camera over the wall of the stall beside me. There were photos of the exact same thing, but with my girlfriend. Then I saw the worst photos of them all. Photos of us in my room hanging out, sleeping together, and having sex. My room was on the 5th floor of the residence at the college, and it had no buildings facing it. I normally kept my blinds open all the time because I liked the sunlight and didn't fear anyone looking in. It looked like it was taken from a similar height my room was at. The only way I could think of someone taking these photos without using something ridiculous like a helicopter was if their camera had incredible zoom. I asked my girlfriend if she had ever noticed anyone stalking us, and she said no. I had no idea how we could have never noticed this person stalking us everywhere. It seems to be only one person that did this though, since the photos of me and my girlfriend individually never seem to occur during the same time. I'm currently trying to contact authorities about this, but I'm unsure of how much they could even help, or if they can even find the person who stalked us. But if I did find out anything, I will post an update about it here. Update. I was able to get into contact with the authorities of the city that I was living in at the time. I sent them multiple screenshots of the forum post with the photos. The police said that they would do their best to look into it. I also left messages at a few places that would have CCTV that me and my girlfriend were at, but so far, I haven't gotten anything back. A little background. I was about 10 at the time this happened, and my brother was also 10 years old. We were taking swimming lessons at a public pool about 10 minutes away from our house. We would go for our lessons every Friday evening, and usually afterwards, we would just chill in the spa until my dad was ready to go. On this particular Friday evening, my brother and I were in the spa pool doing kid stuff and whatnot, when I noticed a man sitting directly across the spa from me, just kind of staring at me. The spa was about 12 meters in length. The man was tall and thin. He had a very pointy nose and button-like eyes. He had very short, thin gray hair, and his skin was unusually red. I didn't think much of it at the time, as I'd seen this man around the pool before, and I think my dad even had a conversation with him at some point. But he only continued to stare, and it made me so uncomfortable that I had to get out of the spa and sat outside waiting for my dad. That's when I began seeing him everywhere. Wherever I was, he was. Grocery stores, malls, outside of my school, and always at my Friday night swimming lessons. I never told my dad about seeing him everywhere. I thought maybe I was just overreacting, but I was very naive to the obvious danger. I remember one instance where I was at a department store with my mom, and I saw him down the end of every aisle we went down, but I said nothing. Red flags started to go off when he decided to carry a camera around with him. He would always be in a completely black outfit with his camera bag around his neck, just watching me. One day, I was at the mall with a few friends when one of them pointed him out before I even noticed him. I told them about the man and the way he looked at me. One of my friend's older sisters advised me to tell security so that he could be removed, and as soon as he saw them coming, he got up and left. Flash forward about 2 years or so, and I haven't seen my stalker friend for so long. Now, he's only a distant memory. That is, until I get called into the school office because my uncle was here to collect me early. As soon as I saw him there, arms open, in my fucking school office waiting for me, I felt sick. I had forgotten about this man, and 2 years later, he had the nerve to come and try to get me out of school, and he even had his camera. I marched right past him and to the office woman and simply said, "This man isn't my uncle," and walked back to class. But he still persisted. At lunches, he was always outside my school. He would always try to wave and get me over to him, or he would hold up a chocolate bar as some kind of child bait. So his random school appearances continued to the point where the school felt the need to contact my parents and let them know what was going on. My dad was distraught, having actually spoken to this man before, and he demanded that the police be contacted so that we could get a restraining order or something. And that was when we found out that this man was a convicted sex offender. The police took his camera and found hundreds and hundreds of photos of me, some of which were zoomed up into my bedroom windows at my house. We immediately got a restraining order, and thankfully, I haven't seen him since. My hometown is a smallish community in the Midwest. I'm Korean, and I regularly dealt with racism and prejudice growing up. I now live in Los Angeles. My parents own a laundromat/dry cleaner. Yes, I know we're a living stereotype. And whenever I visit home, it's like I never left, and I'm going back to working and helping out at the store. Anyways, years ago, I was visiting home and working at the store, and I noticed a guy in his mid to late 30s with large, clear plastic frames, think Jeffrey Dahmer, watching me as I moved about the store, cleaning and such. I didn't think anything of it, as we got strange customers often. Also, growing up Asian in a small community, we got stares often. A few days later, he was back and came up to the counter. I'm sitting behind, but reading a book, so my mom talks to him. He asked my mom if he could talk to me and ask me for legal advice. My mom, who was very proud that I was a law student, pushes me to him. This guy seemed a little off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. He brought out a large manila envelope and asked me if I could help him. He goes on to explain that he was charged for stalking a girl and that he had unfairly been found guilty and served 2 years, and then began to go into how he had recently gotten into trouble again. He said there was a restraining order, which he insists he did not violate. He told me that all he did was copy a few verses out of the Bible and leave her the note on her doorstep. Internally, I was thinking, holy crap, this guy's a whack job. Externally, I tried to keep my cool and explain that I'm only a college student and that I can't give him any legal advice. I apologize so it doesn't kill me, and tell him that he should go to a legal aid or something. He thanks me and then goes back to doing his laundry. I was very weirded out by this guy, but at the same time I was thinking, okay, he's not stalking me, just some other poor girl. Also, I don't know how he knew I was in law school. Then our employee comes shortly thereafter, and my mom tells him about the weird guy asking me for legal advice and points him out to our employee. The employee is a graduate student at a local university. He then tells my mom that he recognizes the weird guy. Apparently, a few days before, the weird guy had come in while the employee was working. The weird guy starts asking questions about me, who I am, and what I do. The employee gets heebie vibes from the weird guy and tells him that I was a lawyer. Of course, I wasn't yet, and that I lived in California. The weird guy then gave the employee an old brooch and asked him to give it to me. The employee then pretends to be my older brother and refuses to pass the gift. My mom told me all of this as we were driving back home. I don't act it, but I was totally creeped out. My mom was also creeped out. The next day, we were back at the store. During midday, it gets kinda slow, and me and my mom are standing in the doorway talking to each other, when we noticed a car driving through our parking lot very slowly. It was the stalker. He sees us, and also sees that we saw him directly, and immediately peels out of the lot. My mom was even more weirded out after this. We took the long way home that night, and I slept with a bat next to my bed. I returned to California soon after, and I haven't seen him since.